Season one was a smash. It became the #1 scripted show on TV. I mean, what was the craziest part of just the whole experience for you when you peel back the layers here?
I think the response that we got, the positive response we got from the fans, and the fact that, we look up one day and we are the #1 new scripted show on cable, like that's just mind blowing to me, because I didn't know how people were gonna accept the idea of the show. But people were really, really receptive. They love Victoria. So it's been an amazing ride so far.
What do you think is most fascinating about Victoria? Because I feel like we can go in a number of different directions to here, but really what stands out to you the most about her?
I think that she's dynamic. And I don't think you've seen a lot of that just yet. So, she is completely, she is an onion. Like, you've got to peel back the layers. She's not one dimensional. And I think the audience will see more of that this season. So, we'll experience more of Victoria's behavior, not behavior, but personality, but and some of her behavior.
It seems like the actors I talk to really love these roles that stretch them and challenge them in different ways. When you think about this role, what has been the biggest challenge in playing Victoria?
The biggest challenge, I think, for me has been having to deal with my own stuff. So there were times where I'd be in a scene and I'd act it out and I would have like a pit in my stomach coming out of the scene and realize that there were parts of me that I could identify too closely with. And so I had to unpack a lot of my own personal stuff. So playing Victoria has been a lot of fun, but it's also been very therapeutic for me.
Had you done that with a role previously, or was this the biggest one where you really looked at your own life and your own situation?
I haven't done that with a television role yet. I've done it in theater. And so that's a very familiar thing for me in the theater world, but coming into television and film, I never thought that I would have that experience. But when I did have it knocked me back like, whoa, okay, you got some work to do, girl.
Well, that leads me to ask the question, how did that help you grow as a person? Because I think we're all just trying to figure our own stuff out. We're all just trying to get better. So how did this role help you take the next step in your evolution?
Well, it has certainly pushed me even further toward talk therapy to deal with my stuff. And it's also helped me with authenticity, because I know oftentimes we mask a lot of what we don't want the world to see, but that's who we are, and I think Victoria doesn't mask much of anything. So I pulled pieces from her with regards to that. Like, you've got to be authentic, or I need to be able to look myself in the mirror at night. And part of that is just being true to myself.
Tyler Perry gets a lot of talk about what he's done in the industry and just his hands-on approach. What are some other things we don't talk enough about with him? Because he's just been so transcendent and so impactful, but what are other little things that maybe we don't see on the outside that you've been exposed to on the inside?
He's a lot of fun. Like every now and then, Medea will show up to set. Like, just out of nowhere. You'll just hear this voice like, what in the, and he's so much fun. And if he finds something funny, like there was a time in season 1 where he yelled cut, and he came and grabbed me by my wrist and dragged me into a room, and he fell out on the floor. He was laughing so hard because there was a thing with Victoria's mother, I think, and he just found it hilarious. And so he has a really great sense of humor. I don't know that people get that outside of him being Medea, but he's a lot of fun.
You mentioned before you weren't really sure how people would receive this just because of how crazy it was. Take me back to the audition process. When you get this part for Victoria and you realize like, oh man, this show is just going to go for it. I mean, what did you think this initially would look like before it came out and became a huge thing?
Gosh, I would like to say I thought it was going to be a smash, but I wasn't so sure because Victoria is the whole first family is so volatile. I'm like, okay, this can go one of two ways. So I just had to immerse myself in the character and do whatever I could to breathe life into her and just pray for the best,
I hear you on that one. You're kind of in the throes of this whole deal where it's like you are now being identified as this very recognizable character. And we're obviously in the middle of a pandemic, so walking around it's not the same sort of response. But what is it like when you're first starting to be recognized as like, oh, Kron is Victoria? Like, how do you deal with this now on a daily basis?
My life literally changed overnight. Like, I expected to have, some recognition like in Atlanta because, Tyler Perry is based here, and like in the Atlanta airport because, so many people come through there. But it was really interesting, just going to different states and different cities and being recognized just randomly. It was a big adjustment for me, but people have been so lovely. I mean, people have really, really received Victoria very well. And so I'm always approached with open arms from people. So it's been an adjustment, but not like in a bad way.
Do you have a state where you're like, I can't believe I'm being recognized here, or just like a random moment where like your mind was totally blown? Do you have an example of that?
Florida.
Florida.
I was in
Interesting.
Jacksonville, Florida, and I was at a Mexican restaurant eating chips, and this lady's just like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm like, "What?" Okay.
I mean, that shows the reach of a show like this, right? And I'm sure you're getting people of all ages, men and women, young and old. Like, it really shows that this is a show that has hit everybody, which I think is a testament to just how great it is, right?
Thank you. Yeah, it's been amazing. I remember I was in the airport. I want to say it was in Atlanta, and a police officer was running after me. Nobody ever wants a police officer running
No,
after
definitely
them
not.
for any reason ever. And so he's running towards me, and I'm just like, whoa. He's just like, no, 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 no. He's like, I'm such a big fan. Can I get a picture? I'm like, okay. That was a really awkward moment, but yeah, I mean, that's been my life pretty much since we started.
That's really crazy. What's it been like for friends and family to see you in this role? Because they've obviously been on the journey with you. Being an actor is a very challenging industry. So what's been the coolest part about sharing it with your friends and family?
They're all so excited. Well, my friends are a little bit different than my family. My friends are like super cool. They're just like, yeah, yeah, we're so happy for you. Are you coming to dinner or not? So it's not, they're not impressed by the whole thing, but they are happy for me. My family is super, super supportive. The most surprising thing, I went home for Christmas in 2019,
Mhm.
and I stayed at my aunt's house. And as soon as I got there, they turned on the Oval and did a complete and total marathon. I'm like, we're doing this. Like, I have to watch myself all week. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay. So it's been amazing. My family and friends have been immensely supportive. So it's been a ride for them too.